da 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 da. Welcome. How y'all doing tonight? I get in such a habit of doing that because I'm always doing comedy. How's everybody doing tonight? It's be daytime like a motherfucker. What's happening? Click, like, subscribe. Tim's got a YouTube channel. We're kind of talking about everything, man. I like to keep you up to date on movie reviews, current events, and other things that might intrigue you throughout the day. Today, we're going to be talking about Lizzo and Aries Spears. This shit hit yesterday. Now, I got an opinion on things when it comes to comedians. I am under the impression, I believe it because it's my craft, that comedians do not have carte blanche. They are not free to say whatever the fuck they want to say, but almost. Context is everything. Context is fucking everything. If you don't understand the context and you can't, you understand the context, then there's no way to, you're never going to get the punchline. You're never going to get the punchline. And it's our jobs as comedians to clear that path, to make sure that that context is clear and very, very, you can't really be smoky anymore. You got to tell an entire joke. There's so many things you got to worry about when you're a comedian these days. And it comes with the job. Your work environment changes. Your bosses get different. Yes, I do believe in freedom of speech, but I also believe in a world where it comes to entertainment. If you book me to do a show for you and there's an older crowd, well, then I'm not dropping N-bombs. I'm not saying fuck all the time. Tomorrow, I'm doing a clean show with a good friend of mine named Waitball. I'm doing a clean show so I can get better at not feeling obligated to cuss or use vulgar context. Because a clean show isn't just not cursing; it's also not talking about adult situations. You have to walk the line very carefully. So when you had situations like Dave Chappelle and the transgender community kind of going back and forth, I was on the Dave Chappelle side of things. I was on the comedy side of things. I was on the black man side of things. I have very strong feelings on all those levels. Yes, it's freedom of speech. He should be able to say what he wants. If you don't want to hear it, then you don't have to listen. Everybody understands that. That's fair. On the hand of being a black person, I find it very presumptuous of people to think that they can just up and get some rights in America before I do. And I know that's a fucked up way to put it, but that's how I genuinely feel. That's how I genuinely feel. I'm totally okay with that opinion. And it's a biased opinion. I feel like other people on this earth, especially in America, I feel like people in America who don't look like me don't have to worry about law enforcement hurting them. And I wish I had that right. I wish that when my wife said goodbye to me in the evening, she was saying goodbye and she was telling me to be safe because the roads were wet or there's danger out there. She genuinely calls me in the middle of the night when I'm out to make sure that no police are fucking with me. Like she ain't worried about me getting mugged. So, when it comes to that as a black man, I was really on the side of that. On the side with Dave Chappelle. This Aries Spears situation is so funny. He talks about Lizzo in a interview. In this interview, he says that she looks like the shit emoji, the poop emoji. He says that she looked like a plate of mashed potatoes. He complimented her music, said she had a very beautiful face. I believe he said her music goes hard, but her body is soft. Honestly, I feel like he did really kind of standard Lizzo jokes. Everybody tells fucking Lizzo jokes. You walk around with your ass out and talking about, 1 minute you're crying about being shamed, the next minute you're talking about how proud you are of your body, and that's beautiful. everybody, listen, man, there's a fucking moldy piece of cheese. For every moldy piece of cheese, there's a moldy piece of bread. Trust me. I see some ugly people together, and then I see some cute people with some ugly people, and vice versa. Everybody's got a different flavor. There's some dude out there eating Lizzo's butt. There's some dude out there texting Lizzo. First off, did she win a Grammy? She's a Grammy award winning, Billboard chart topping artist. There's some dude out there who can't wait to lick that big old butt crack. Let's be serious. I live in Atlanta. Big girls got game. Listen. Big girls got game. And a lot of us won't admit our big girl ventures, but big girls got game. So let's just leave it at that. First off, you gotta own who you are. If you're walking around giving a fuck about what anybody else is thinking, well, then you've already put yourself in a pretty fucked up position. So now, sorry, there was a bug. Sorry about that. That's unprofessional. I just got done yelling at some kids about running from a bug or some shit. So, you big, I get it. You're an international superstar. You're a great musician. You're a fantastic writer. What are we talking about? Like, why the fuck does... and listen, not hating on Aries Spears at all. But I do know that Aries was at a point in his career where he was either going to take off or he wasn't. And he kind of figured out that he was very comfortable with where he was at. He's a club comedian. He's got a real hardcore. Definitely has a kind of a Paul Mooney vibe. He's going to talk about race. He's going to talk about what matters. If I were going to think of Aries Spears' comedy now his comedy's always been very New York, very grimy, very Timberland bootish, But I actually tried to do an interview with him a couple years ago, and I just was unable to lock it down, man. I think he's a great comedian, but I like comedians like that. I like the Patrice O'Neals of the world. I like the Aries Spears of the world, the Paul Mooneys, who just call it like it is, and if it's funny, we'll see. But some people call him divisive. I don't find him to be divisive. I feel like when you're a comedian, you have this plank that you can walk. Because no matter who you are still in the business of entertainment. So when you think of that about being in the business of entertainment, you're providing a service. When he was on Mad TV and earlier on in his career, I feel that Aries Spears was more interested in providing that service. Once he got established and was getting booked all the time, got a couple movies under his belt, he's still doing Denzel Washington impressions, and he's one of the better ones. So I'm not saying it like that. I don't do impressions. I wish I could. Anytime I do an impression, I just say what the person says in my voice and try to make it funny. I don't do impressions. It's a skill. It's a talent. Voiceovers, things like that. So Aries is in the part of his career where he doesn't really have to give a fuck. And you can look at him however you want to look at him, but that's okay. Now, and don't let me miss this. At one point in the interview, because I know this gets said a lot, and you're absolutely right, women. Men have no fucking right to be telling you what they think about their body and shit like that. We some bad body, stankin' booty, skid mark having motherfuckers. So I get that shit. It's one thing to have another woman criticize you, but having a nigga with a dick who don't know shit about what you going through in your struggle is a whole nother thing. So that's fair, right? But in this, Aries owned that too. He was very much so like, I got some work to do. I love pasta. I'm not no nigga to be taking my shirt off. I think he may have embellished with the swag, but niggas who been on TV get pussy, so he gonna get a little pussy. I'm often surprised by the fact that women even fuck us sometimes. We're gross, man. We're gross. I'm here right now digging in my toes. Right now, digging away. Digging away, about to go to a show. So, it's really funny to me when everybody complains about a comedian making fun of somebody. He's making fun of her because he's a comedian. It puzzles me. She's got a show out on Netflix that reinforces this. It's like a dance team show for talented big girls, giving big girls a chance. I feel like there was another one of those shows somewhere on a Bravo or something like that, trying to empower big girls. You know them big bitches that can do backflips and splits and shit. That, you know what I'm saying? That shit, the kind of big women that when they do something, you'd be like, oh shit, like you can't you can't even imagine it. So Lizzo's got a show called Watch Out for My Big Girls. First off, they big. You ain't got to watch out for them. You can see them already. So, like, this, it's hard to not say something about this situation. But she's owned this. She's got a show with a whole cast. She got a fucking green light to do a show. They traveled all around the country looking for big bitches that can dance without sweating. Like, can you imagine? And now Aries Spears, Aries isn't making Netflix specials. They're not popping out of his ass like Dave Chappelle. Aries isn't Bill Burr. Aries isn't fucking on tour with DC Young Fly. He's not part of this upper echelon of Aries Spears isn't hanging out with fucking Kevin Hart and going on international tours. He's the least of your worries, Lizzo. And he's a comedian. He's just doing his job. Yes, it was a personal interview, and I feel like that's even worse when you ask a comedian what they think. You don't ask us what we think knowing damn well we think the worst shit. We say the shit you hear on stage is a diluted, watered down, crazy, made for TV view, and that comes with the worst jokes. Most jokes start off in the worst places, and we've got to refine them so they can be decent to the auditory palate, if you will. So, don't get on Aries Spears for cracking jokes about a fat person. That's what we do. It's not called fat shaming, it's just called being fat. And he also addressed, like, you're comfortable with who you are, I get that, but are you being healthy? Listen, if Lizzo's and her cholesterol count is none of my fucking business. So fuck that. Lizzo, live your fucking life. I get that. And you have every right to be offended. I have been talked about in so many different ways about being black as fuck that I've gotten over being offended. There's literally, I've been called Gotham City. At one point in my life, I was sitting in a jacuzzi and a nigga said to me, what you in there doing? Making tea? Listen, man. I've been called Seal. I've been called Soft Akon. Like, somebody sang me the Gotham City song sung by Seal. If you could read that deeply into that, how fucking mean that shit is. And creative, by the way, and creative. So, when you think of it like that, man, when you think of it like that, something bit the fuck out of me. You know it did. You know something bit the shit out of me. I'm out here. But when you think of it like that, man, you gotta own who you are. How did she get so far in life? Being so big. Listen, I gotta imagine Lizzo was not as Lizzo before she got millions and millions of dollars in a fucking Grammy. I have to imagine. Because that's, it's not like people get a bunch of money and a bunch of fame and get uglier, all right? So there was an uglier version of Lizzo. Let's be real. Let's be fucking real. And now you mad because Aries Spears, I'm on the regular comedy tour circuit, is fucking with you? Well, you got some other shit to work out. That ain't Aries' fault. Aries ain't do shit to you. He didn't fucking put that sandwich in your face. You got a show. She's got a fucking reality show that completely devotes itself to the big women in entertainment. Why the fuck would you care what he says? It's laughable. It's laughable. It's laughable. And shame on you, man. Honestly, and when shit like that comes out, I feel like if you're gonna be on this pedestal of representation of large women and confidence in young ladies who might either be working on their weight or learning how to be comfortable with their weight. I feel like when instead of going straight victim, that's when you need to show off your true colors and really show off your power. Don't show off your power by saying that Aries Spears said the wrong thing. Show off your power by moving on and making another fucking platinum record. Coming out with another show that features big women and their and how many advantages they have in the world. Mostly hips and shoulders, but whatever. So, I know. It's low-hanging fruit because fat people don't climb. You see what I'm saying? It's a constant thing, man. They're just called jokes, man. You gotta power through that shit. So now Aries is what they call a fire starter. Like I said, I know his shows are very aggressive. Like I said, I feel like if you were gonna put like Patrice O'Neal and Paul Moody in a box, you would get like an Aries Spears out of that. You know, I feel like that's kind of his vibe. He's got this. He tells jokes, but he doesn't really give a fuck if you laugh. And that's how all comedians should be. But like I said, he's at the point in his career where he doesn't really have to give a fuck. So then, because divisiveness is or conflict has kind of been his motor on social media, YouTube, and things like that, I think that, I guess Mike Epps came out in Lizzo's defense. So Mike Epps comes out in Lizzo's defense. I don't know what he said. I probably should have looked at that before I said anything. I'm sure somebody will talk about it in the comments. But he says some shit like, I don't know, he defends Lizzo. Feels that it would appear that he feels that Lizzo is absolutely correct in whatever offense that was taken. So Aries Spears, in a very Aries Spears fashion, post whatever Mike Epps said, or post the fact that Mike Epps supports Lizzo. And at the bottom in the comments, this is what my man writes. He writes, "At least ain't nobody walking out of my shows." Now, that's just him kind of being a Monique about it. You know what I'm saying? He kind of being a Monique about it. You trying to get some more shit started. You trying to keep this bitch rolling. I wish comedians had a versus that they could do. I wish comedians could do a versus. I want to come up with an idea that allows it, because it would have to be extensive. You'd have to do old sets, you'd have to do new sets, you'd have to do subject matter, because it would have to be a catalog of talents, and then the judges would check off accordingly. You couldn't just go by comedy specials. If you went by comedy specials, you just can't. You can't. If you went by comedy specials in a versus, Cat Williams would win all the time. He's got the most comedy specials, and he produces them all himself, and they're all big hits, and da-da-da-da-da. Kevin Hart and Cat Williams would be a good one. But if you go special by special, it's hard. I feel like special by special, I was watching some Chris Rock the other day. Special by special, Chris Rock might be on to something. Like you don't feel like his specials are memorable, but they are. But they are. So I say that to say this. I hate when people do that. I'm saying this to say that. Aries came at Mike Epps with some old, ain't nobody walking out of my shows. At least ain't nobody walking out of my shows. Well, no. But they could be argued that a lot of people ain't going to Aries Spears shows. It could be argued. And I feel like he's still on the circuit, so those clubs aren't that large, so they're pretty easy to fill. But he's doing whole weekends, all that. I'd love to open up for him sometime. I think he's a good comedian. He's a great comedian. I'm trying to open up for him. I think he's a great comedian. But when he came at Mike Epps, when he comes at Mike Epps, you're like, and if you're a comedian, you can see what he's doing, because I've done a Mike. I haven't done a Mike Epps show. I was at a Mike Epps show, and I've been to several Mike Epps shows. A few of my friends are on the tour, so I've had the pleasure of hanging out and being able to see that. Let me start by saying doing comedy in an arena is different. The sound is different. The responses are different. You got to keep going. Like, people aren't laughing, or they are laughing. It's very hard to gauge it. And that's just being in the crowd. I've never done a fucking arena. But from talking, being there, being in theater, building sound stages, I understand the difficulty of it. It's very impersonal. It's a lot of dark spots that you're looking at. I've done really large rooms. And even in those large room like the Stardome or something like that, I definitely feel like those are those dark spots. There's sometimes you're just looking out into blackness. You're kind of thankful for those first few rows because they give you that personal feel. But that being said, Mike Epps' performances, they're not all, they're good. It's him telling jokes that he's been telling for like 5 years now. Every joke that he's telling right now is on his last Netflix special. And I think that Netflix special came out 3 years ago. So, he slips up, man. We all do. We all slip up. But, he's got these people paying fucking $75, $100-some, for fucking tickets. My ticket price is $15 and $20. And I sell tickets at bars and shit. He's asking, these are motherfuckers going out on whole date nights trying to see this nigga. So, and he be fucking up, forgetting jokes, shit like that. I gotta imagine all that partying, all that good living, all that fame. There's no telling how he handles that and processes it. It ain't none of my goddamn business. But I do know that Aries Spears has a valid point that people have been slightly disappointed with a few of the Mike Epps shows. I don't know who's walking out. I ain't never seen nobody walk out. I assume they was going to the bathroom when they was walking. I don't want to assume. But I can definitely tell you that Mike Epps is not the Mike Epps used to be. And I think I'm going to leave it at that because, I also hope to open up for him one day. But he's just, I feel like when you get to a certain level of fame, there's only so much shit you can talk about. That's kind of what happened with that Kevin Hart drop. Kevin had to start doing interviews and become something else. He had to start doing interviews with other famous people because essentially Kevin can't joke and entertain the common man anymore. He's no longer the common man. He has risen above. He hangs out with The Rock. He hangs out with the highest paid actor in Hollywood. I'm sure he is on the list of highest paid actors in Hollywood. So he would be the. I can definitely see Kevin Hart being the like the Eddie Murphy of our time. And I'm saying that, stop, don't do that. I'm saying that when it comes to just doing movies and really just dabbling in stand-up and just criticizing or being a part of it. I know he's at clubs and I know that he's always working on stuff, but I also know that he has people that write for him. And his international tours bring so much revenue to Heartbeat Productions that I can't understand why the fuck he would ever stop fucking doing stand-up comedy. But I can't see him doing stand-up comedy because he values it and thinks he's got fucking people to support. He's got a staff. You know what I'm saying? So he's the closest thing I think to what Eddie Murphy did when it comes to movies and comedy and separating the two. Not when it comes to jokes. Let me be very clear. Not when it comes to stand-up. I don't feel like he holds a candle. But when it comes to specials against movies and things like that, I feel like Kevin Hart has kind of figured it out. And I can definitely see him gearing more towards or gravitating more towards film later on in his career. I mean, he's fucking like the Black Barbara Walters now. He's fucking interviewing people and having wine and shit. So he can only talk to other rich people. What else you gonna do? But yeah, man, Aries is trying to throw some shade. Aries is trying to throw some shade at my man Mike Epps, and we're not a fucking boy band. We're not in a boy band. Let me be very clear. We are comedians. We support one another when we can, but we're all out here trying to get it. This is one-on-one. It's tennis. This is wrestling. This is a one-on-one competition. Strength against strength. Iron sharpens iron. That kind of shit. So, you gotta just, you gotta understand that, man. You gotta understand that. We live in a world of competition. And right now, Aries Spears is really killing it when it comes to conflicts. People love telling him he's wrong, and he relishes in that. He loves being fucked with. Even in the Lizzo interview, when he started speaking about it, he said, "Oh, I can hear the rumbling now of the women coming over the hill to start a war with me." And that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Lizzo, stay beautiful, stay big. I think it's all gonna work out. No one really gives a fuck, honestly. We love your music. We think you're great. I know you're getting loved on. I know you're getting loved on. You're probably fucking right now. So don't do that. Don't do the whole everybody's against the fat people. Stand up for these big girls. Show them that it doesn't matter. And by moving on and not giving a fuck about what Aries Spears says. And Aries, quit fucking with Mike Epps. He trying his best, man. You trying to fuck with everybody at the same time. You fucking with Lizzo and Mike Epps. Leave that nigga alone, man. Leave that nigga alone. He gets a little sauced at the shows, man. Let him have a good time. Let him enjoy his fame. They do be packing out arenas for this nigga, though. Boy. But thank y'all. Click, subscribe, like. Go to a comedy show. If you're in Atlanta, come to Uptown Comedy Corner. I'm always there. But go to a comedy show. Take it in. It's not an easy job, man. We make jokes for a living. We're not here to rock you to sleep. That's the last thing we're here to do. So, click, like, subscribe, share, follow, all that shit. Tim's got a Late Night with Tim is a new show that will be coming out on Tim's got a YouTube channel. And Late Night with Tim, it's a talk show. It's not a podcast. It's a fucking talk show. Don't call it a podcast. It's a fucking talk show. I gotta get some more talk show shit like a desk. I feel like the desk really establishes what a talk show is. So, thanks so much. Did I say click, like, subscribe, all that good stuff? Dang if you love it. I'll talk to you soon.